A lot of trouble in Europe lately, Pete. Been watching the riots in the streets of France, completely out of control, triggered when an immigrant, a young immigrant, a teenager, was shot by police, came there from the Middle East. And then those communities went crazy, burning police cars, attacking police. And then over the weekend, the Dutch government fails, collapses because of immigration policies. Now, been a lot of problems with the Netherlands over farming and so forth that we've talked about. Farmers saying, what in the world are you doing trying to shut down 3,000 farms in pursuit of some utopian Green New Deal? But it fell down to this government unexpectedly. You obviously were the ambassador to the Netherlands. You know the place well. What happened?
Well, Steve, I was just there for the last couple of weeks, and I met with a number of their government officials. No one expected this government to collapse. It's the fourth parliamentary government headed by Mark Rutte, a center-right political party. But on Friday, Rutte was pushing for some stricter immigration reforms, and he couldn't get his coalition partners to agree. So what happens in a parliamentary system, if the coalition breaks down, you don't have a governing majority anymore, you resign. And so on Friday, the prime minister indicated he was going to resign. He tendered the resignation of the entire government to the king on Friday. The Dutch will schedule elections for sometime in this fall, late October, early November, most likely.
He will remain in charge until then, though, Rutte will. But here's my question. So was he trying to block immigration? Was he trying to open up immigration? Why would any country in Europe, watching what's happening in France, watching what's happening in London, why would they open their floodgates at all to this invasion?
No, what Rutte was doing, he was trying to close the floodgates in the Netherlands. He was trying to put in stricter measures for immigration. I think he had been watching what's happened in France. He has been watching what's happening in Germany, where an anti-immigrant, not anti-immigrant, but a party that is for stricter control of immigration is now potentially the number one or two slot if Germany held elections today. So no, Rutte was putting his foot down and saying, "Hey, it's time to slow this down." And two of the four parties in the coalition would not agree with him. And I think you're exactly right. What we're seeing, well, it'll be interesting to see what happens with the elections when they do occur. But with the protest movement that's being led by the Farmers Party, and their elections for their Senate last year, they became the biggest party in their Senate. And, so I think you're going to see a move in the Netherlands to a more center-right coalition that will be for, immigration control. It will rebel slightly against the mandates coming from Brussels, coming from the EU. So I think you're seeing the Dutch as being maybe at the vanguard, being at the forefront of a move to the right in many countries in Europe.
Well, there's this rejection. And I guess I'm surprised, unless you've got this, these far-left individuals in the Dutch government, which clearly you do, that would stop, putting stricter controls on immigration. Look, you can see the results in Paris. You can see the results in London. You can see the results all over Europe. But the countries that say no, countries like Hungary and Poland, you don't see these problems. Countries that say, you know what? We're not just opening the doors. We're not going to do that. And the results and the outcome are different, aren't they?
They really are. That's why if the Dutch move center right, and there's a very reasonable coalition that could come out of this. It could be Rutte's party, the VVD, which is the center-right party. Rutte is not going to stand for re-election as prime minister. He's stepping down. But it could be VVD. It could be Geert Wilders, his party. His party is consistently coming in number 2 or number 3 in the polls. And the Farmers Party. It's very possible that these three parties could come up with the necessary 75 votes in the next parliament and form the next majority. You throw in the Christian Party, which is also a center-right party. You will have a governing majority on the center-right. The last 3-4 governments in the Netherlands have all been center or they've had center or center-left coalition partners, which drove their policies to the left. I think it's very possible that there will not be a left-wing party in the next Dutch government.
So would that mean that these policies, even though they've not been embraced yet, could possibly come to pass, that they would say, look, we've had all of this free-flowing, loosey-goosey immigration all over Europe. People have had it. I mean, when you take a little town in Germany that has 500 people and you bring in 1,500 migrants, a story that I just read recently, and you just flood the whole place up, well, then it's not a German town anymore, is it?
No, it's not. And like I said, you put the immigration issue along with the farmer issue and the mandates coming from the EU. Right now, it's the farmers. Right. Early on in my tenure as the ambassador to the Netherlands, it was the fishermen, the EU coming out and saying, hey, there's certain kinds of fishing methods invented by the Dutch, good for the environment. And the EU came back and said you can't use those fishing methods anymore. So it's going to be, like I said, it's going to be very interesting. But I think it's going to be a rebellion against immigration and, a massive demonstration of frustration with the mandates coming out of the EU. People are beginning to believe that they're losing their country. You're seeing it, like you said, you're seeing it in Germany. Obviously, you're seeing it in France. I mean, the French, the traditional French are, very concerned about, the riots that they saw. I mean, these riots are devastating. Well,
it's destroying. Police cars burning, violence in the streets, destruction of business. Who would go to Paris? I mean, Paris is supposed to be this magical place that people go for, for honeymoons and vacations. I wouldn't go there on a bet today. I have no interest in seeing any of that. Anyhow, Pete, I'll give you the last word.
No, it's going to be a fascinating 3 months, not only in American politics, but also in European politics. What you may see and hopefully see is both the U.S. and European countries moving to the right. It's exactly where we need to be going. Left-wing policies are just not working.
They fail all over the world. Just a matter of time.